What's going on, guys? It's Adam P. Once again, back with more Newcastle United transfer news. Liverpool has essentially called us out on social media. They have stated to journalists that Newcastle wants both Ekitike and Isak. Tough. We are taking one of those strikers. You can either back off from Ekitike and we will take Ekitike off you, or you can go and sign Hugo Ekitike and we will come and take Alexander Isak off you. That is their claim. Fans and social media, Liverpool fans have already disrespecting Newcastle, already looking at Newcastle going, well, we're just going to walk in, take Isak, you guys are going to do nothing about it. Opposition fans, journalists across the world, nobody believes in Newcastle, and every single person seems to think that Isak will go to Liverpool. Well, I'm here to tell you, that's not going to happen. No matter what happens in this transfer window with Hugo Ekitike, we need to keep Alexander Isak. This is our first opportunity since the takeover with the Public Investment Fund, where a direct rival has turned up to Newcastle in an attempt to essentially bully one of our players out of our football club. The mind games are coming in, attempting to ploy Alexander Isak and to get his head to turn to Liverpool in an attempt to just force Newcastle not to have this striker partnership next season. The Public Investment Fund needs to look good coming out of this. If we get shown up now by Liverpool and we look poor in this situation, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, what do you think these teams are going to do in Newcastle next summer? They're going to come and do it again with all of our players, so we have to look good now. Newcastle does have the possibility of showing Liverpool up because of the fact that, well, if we just go and sign Hugo Ekitike now, they can't even play the mind game because Newcastle could then refuse to sell Isak, and then Newcastle could just close the shop up and Liverpool would have lost both strikers. So that's our best bet now. That's what I think Newcastle needs to do. And according to Sky Sports in Germany, Newcastle is going back in with a second bid. Yesterday, 80 million euros was rejected, so that's around 70 million pounds. Ekitike has an 86 million pound release clause, so of course we are 16 million pounds away from being guaranteed to sign the player. But from my understanding, with a release clause, if you activate a release clause, you have to pay all the money up front, or at least most of the money up front, whereas Newcastle would obviously rather kind of pay it a bit slower than that. So we'll see here, but reports are coming out. Our reports are stating that Newcastle's even going as far as to match the release clause price. So we'll see what happens. Newcastle's clearly going back in again for Ekitike. We need to just not fall for the mind games. We need to just go in there, try a look at Ekitike. Liverpool, of course, are going to make this hard. They might take Ekitike off us, but we need to keep Isak. That's the biggest thing we need to do this summer. Romano's claiming that Isak is open to the Liverpool move, but he says in the same tweet anyway that Isak's happy with Newcastle and will do whatever we tell him to do. So Romano's effectively said both things to appease to everyone. So no matter what happens, the guy can't be wrong. So a bit of a fraud tweet from him there. But again, all bias aside, you can look at the situation all you want. Isak has 3 years left in his contract. He has Champions League football. He's always stated in interviews that he wants to play in the Champions League. We have that for him. When you look at Newcastle and what the journalists have been saying for months on end, they have said that no matter what happens this summer, Isak is not for sale. Newcastle has to back those words, and let's make sure Isak is unsellable this summer. But a player that has already been sold, Longstaff has departed to Leeds United. £13 million up front plus £2 million in add-on, of course, totaling to 15 million. Sound deal. Leeds fans watching this video, you've got yourself a cracking player there. He's going to do well in the relegation battle, so he's certainly going to come in and graft for you guys. But as far as it goes, £15 million PR profit means you can spend more than the £15 million you got for him. Maybe that's the little edge Newcastle needs to finalise this Hugo Ekitike deal. We'll see. As for Longstaff, though, appreciate your services for the club. Thank you, and we wish you all the best. Now, just before we get into anything else, guys, of course, if you're new around here, make sure I get down there, hit that subscribe button. I am going to Asia 1 week today, so next week we are going to Asia. I can't wait to be out there for Newcastle's pre-season tour, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any of the content out there. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content. And back on topic to the current situation now, I'm going to be honest, like, there's a lot of disrespectful comments towards Newcastle on social media. We mentioned it before with Liverpool fans and opposition fans, but no one believes in Newcastle with this saga. Everyone thinks that Newcastle is just going to sell Isak up. Why? Let's be honest, why? Unless Isak himself puts in a transfer request and the player has stated that I want to go to Liverpool, make it happen this summer. Unless Isak does that, Newcastle has no reason to let him go. Now, to play devil's advocate and to go potentially on what Isak could want as a player. Now, Craig Hope stated yesterday that Paul Mitchell, so going back to Paul Mitchell now, so he's claiming that Paul Mitchell has not followed through with the promise made by Amanda Murder towards Isak. Of course, those two departed, and the claim and belief is that Paul Mitchell felt like Isak was on enough money already and did not follow through with the promise that Amanda Murder had made. So, in Isak's point of view, and also his agent, especially his agent, I can understand why they are going to obviously play into this Liverpool drama. I can understand why they are going to explore things on social media and to even give the implication that Isak is off this summer. Just pay him what he wants. I think it's that simple now. Let's be honest. Is Isak our best player? Probably, yeah. He's alongside Tonali as our best player, like you would have to say. So in terms of Isak's wages, should he be our highest earner? I think so. And especially when you got the likes of Amanda Murdered, and while, of course, we're blaming Paul Mitchell, some of you guys may go as far as blame Amanda Murdered as well. But if they made Isak a promise, you've got to follow through the promise. I feel like that's definitely a fair explanation to the situation. But yeah, enough talking about Paul bloody Mitchell, because I'm telling you that he's going to do my head in even more from this situation. Honestly, what a terrible year we had with him. But going away from the topic, just pay the guy what he wants. Isak's going to want a new contract. He's going to want a lot of money. I think he's worth the money. And especially if, let's say, he wants 200, even as far as 250 grand, you're going high up in the wages. If he then accepts an extra 2 or 3 years in that contract, would you say that's worth it? I think so, for the value that you're going to get from him. And eventually, if you have a situation like this, 12 months from now, 24 months from now, and Isak does at that stage want to go, you're going to get massive money in for the player. You can get huge amounts of money in for the player. And in our point of view, even if we got to that stage, you don't want to sell into a Premier League club. We talk in this window about being ripped off 55 million for longer. You talk about any transfer in the Premier League this window where teams are selling to each other. Every single transfer is through the roof. Teams don't want to do it. Why should Newcastle sell to Liverpool in a year or 2 years' time when you can just potentially let them go to somewhere outside the Premier League? That's better on our interest because it's then less conflict for us and not the possibility of this player then taking things off with a different Premier League club. So for Newcastle, we just need to play all the cards close to our chest. Do not let him go this summer. I swear to God, do not let him go to Liverpool. If we do that in this summer, then everything the Public Investment Fund has been trying to do since this takeover, you make us look weak. Every single team out there is just going to pick Newcastle apart every single transfer window. So we have to look good now. Do not sell him to a direct Premier League rival. Make sure it is not Liverpool in a worst case scenario. Let's just get through this. I'm convinced we'll keep Isak. I promise you in the intro. I don't think he's going anywhere. And the point of this video is not for me to have you all on edge. This is a legitimate possibility. Liverpool, of course, are throwing money at Newcastle. They're going to continue to throw money at Newcastle. But I don't think the money they throw at Newcastle will ever be enough. I don't think it would be for what Isak offers. Not this summer, not now, not for what Newcastle is trying to achieve. Our potential issue is Ekitike. I think we could lose Ekitike. I think if Liverpool knows they're not going to get Isak, they're going to play the whole team. They're going to come in for Ekitike. They're going to play off Newcastle. They're just going to be nasty. They're going to get into us. And I reckon they've got a good chance of potentially getting him. But I'm hoping, because of the fact that 3 years ago we wanted Ekitike, we've shown Ekitike all the way back in 2022 that we wanted him. I'm hoping now, potentially that slow build over the years, I'm hoping that's gave us an edge, and maybe it has. We'll see what happens at Ekitike. I think someone's going to go next 24, 48 hours. I think we'll know at least where one of the players is going. Again, Isak, I feel like it's going to drag on a bit longer, but I reckon the Ekitike stuff's going to be wrapped up quick. Newcastle will either get him or they'll go for someone else straight away. They're not going to play around. We can't afford Liverpool's mind games and tactics to be something that's going to potentially delay our transfer window. We have to just get through it and just move on if it doesn't work out. But real opportunity to do it. You see the reports about Ekitike. Looks possible. Looks on. Ekitike has claimed, according to journalists, that he only wants Newcastle currently. Again, Liverpool hasn't made a direct approach yet, so that could change. And when you look at Liverpool's transfers in recent years, Szoboszlai was a player Newcastle was linked with. Darwin Núñez was a player Newcastle was linked with. Again, you look at the Ekitike situation now, a bit like Chelsea somewhat. The teams in the Premier League, it's been on a repeated basis now where Liverpool has looked for players Newcastle's also looked for. So they're not going to stop doing that. We have to deal with it. We have to roll our sleeves up, as Steve Bruce would say back in the day. But we have to get on with it, crack on, do our work, get Ekitike in as soon as possible, and then just refuse to sell Isak. Then you've outplayed Liverpool at their own game, and they'll look silly. They'll look very silly on social media, and the Public Investment Fund would have seriously been able to employ Liverpool off well. They would have been able to make us look very good. So let's see what happens. Take care, and we will see you all in the next one.